So now I've attached the neckband to the neckline. That's like the trickiest part of the whole thing. And if you look down here, you'll see, still doesn't look fabulous, does it? That's okay. We're going to press it, and when we press it, it will look fabulous. This is obviously the inside. If I flip it over, you'll see the outside. It's all puckery and miserable, but that's okay. All you have to do is press it, and you press it so that the seam goes down into the body like this, okay? The seam allowance goes down there. Even if you're doing the zigzag on the normals machine, you still push it all there. You don't open the seam allowances like you would normally do. So here we go. A quick, make sure we're working. We are. And don't be frightened of this, because honestly, it's easier than you could possibly imagine. And you know, if you make a mistake, you just go back and repress it. It's really not that terribly difficult. And I'm just kind of pulling this out a little bit, so with my hand underneath, obviously not underneath the iron. That would be stupid, but just to kind of pull the neckline ribbing as I go, just to kind of make it taut, and it'll get a nice flat pressed look at the end. And like I say, I wouldn't normally do this on a table, but space is at a premium here. So when I flip it over, you can immediately see it's much, much nicer. And I'm going to do a final little zhuzh, which isn't really a technical term, but I think you know what I mean. Like this. And you've got a nice flat neckline trim. Okay, you see the difference between that I've done and that I haven't? I mean, there's quite a radical difference. Okay, so let's just complete it. And we've got our neckline done, and we're ready to really put together the rest of this whole lovely knit dress. Okay, let me show you this. Can I just flip this up here, Joe, if you can follow me? Okay, that. It's much nicer, don't you think? It's not all puckery and horrible, it's delicious, it's fab. So, that's your bodice almost done. Now we're going to complete it, and the next thing we do is we do the side seams, and we're going to put the sleeve rib on as well. Same method as this, but I'm going to show you it anyway. Okay. Okay, so now we're just going to join the side seams. Now, normally I would say that you start at the underarm point and sew down the bodice, and then you start at the underarm point again and go down to the cuff. But truthfully, you've got such a tiny underarm seam here, it kind of seems a little bit silly. So I'm going to start at the very end here and just go down. You've only got like 1.5 inches or so, so it's really not worth you doing all that. If you were doing the long sleeve, I'd definitely say start at the armhole point, sew down. Armhole point down to the bottom of the sleeve. It just works better, honestly, it really does. Okay, that's the side seams done. And now we're going to press them towards the back, and then we're going to join the sleeve rib. So now I'm going to attach the sleeve rib trim to the sleeve. And just as a little incidental hint, if you hear a pitter-patter of tiny puppy feet or a munch, 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 our little puppy is out of the office now. We barricaded him in there. I'm afraid he's having none of it, so he's around. So, okay, so once again, I've quartered up my rib trim like this, so it's matched quarter to quarter. The seam on the knit rib trim, I've matched the underarm seam, and the halfway mark is the overarm seam. It's really, really simple. So I'm going to attach it the same way as I did the neckband on the overlocker, and we're on to the next bit. So I'm just going to join the front and skirt back down the side seams. It's the easiest thing in the world. Start at the top, work at the bottom, you are done. That's it. And there's really nothing to tell you about this apart from that's it. When we get to joining the skirt to the bodice, that's when we do the elastication, but I'm just going to join this very, very quickly, and you can watch if you wish. I'll try not to dismantle my overlocker while I'm doing it, that's always good. So here I'm going to press the skirt seams, and again I'm going to press them towards the back. Now, because there's no real front and back on this, it truly doesn't matter, just choose which one you want for the back, and that's the back, and we're done. Okay, so and don't be scared of kind of finessing your knits, you know, fiddling around with them, bashing around. Most knits are really forgiving, and you're not going to have too much of a problem with them. And if you do, just, you know, press it again. There we go, there is our skirt panel done. That's the top, that's the bottom, ready to go. Okay, so we are on the final, the home stretch now of putting together the Classics Nouveau Uptown Downtown knit dress. And all we've got to do is join it through the waist and put the elastic on. And for this, I'm going to share with you a really fabulous tip. Actually, one of our customers posted it on one of the sewing boards. So a big shout out to Carla Kaiser. Clearly you're fabulous, because this is a great tip. It's actually genius. I can't believe nobody else has thought of this before, but it's great. And so thank you, Carla, for sharing this. And I hope you're not too embarrassed by me putting it on the tutorial. Okay, so here in all its glory is the Carla Kaiser tip for fabulous waist elastication. You just pull the elastic around your waist quite snug, and then you safety pin it in place. And then you'd wear this for an hour, hour and a half, couple of hours round the house, just to make sure it's comfy. It's not too tight, not constricting. It's doing what it needs to do. It's just sitting there, because you don't want it cutting into you, but you also don't want it to be baggy. So this is kind of right for me. So I'm going to just chop it off, and you chop it off without any seam allowances. Okay, trust me on this. When you sew it on, it's going to actually pull that extra bit more, so you don't want it to be too floppy. So I'm going to chop this off like this, get rid of what I don't need. Now when I'm joining this, I'm going to join it like that, edge to edge. Okay, like that. So just through the edge like this. And then it's going to be sewn along with the seam. So you're going to see that. And even though it's not, strictly speaking, the technically correct way to do it, it gives a great result. So you're going to love it. Okay. Okay, so now I'm about to apply the elastic to the waistline. Now, little handy hint for you. If you are a new sewer, or you're new to knits, or you just don't feel too confident, what I suggest you do is just seam the bodice to the skirt before you attach the elastic, and then you can attach the elastic using this method. Because I'm really lazy, I want to do it in one pass. So what I've done is I've quartered up my elastic, and I've quartered up my bodice and skirt. Woof woof indeed, boy. And then I've just pinned them up together, and this is what you're going to get. Okay, you're going to get this. And I'm going to sew it all together in one pass on the machine, and that's your dress done. It's really that simple. So don't be alarmed, and of course don't sew over the pins, don't forget. That's kind of a really key issue here. Okay, I'm going to start at the centre back, just because that's where the joint of my elastic is. And I'm going to take it kind of steady. And I don't think Gemma's going to film all of this because it's just, you know, I'm just seaming it, but it's useful for you to see how I start it. Okay. And this is one of those things you've got to get your eye in. So you just have your elastic just a little bit inside the fabric, kind of this way towards the fabric. Our puppy's getting so grumpy. There we go. You see, you just pull it and seam it together. See what happens? It all gets caught in together and gives you a nice clean finish. It's not strictly speaking the correct way to do it, but believe me, it really works. Okay, so now we are done. You can see that was it, just by finishing the waist seam, the whole thing is done. Let me just show you the waist seam. It's underneath here and it's elasticated, you see? That's what finishes it off. And obviously here, I've just styled it just with a nice little belt. You can use a purchase belt, you can make the tie belt, we've got the instructions in the pattern envelope for you. But this is a really simple and a good beginner project. And that's why we've rated it beginner level. So if you have someone who you know who would like to start sewing, someone who's perhaps really interested in fashion, maybe a daughter, a younger cousin, a friend, this is a really good place to start. It's almost foolproof, and I promise if you follow the instructions I've given you in this tutorial, do it exactly as I've done it, you will have success, I guarantee it. And that's a really nice thing to do, to pass on a little bit of knowledge to the next generation of sewers. And honestly, if you're fashion obsessed, this is a great place to start. It's really, really good. So I hope this has been useful for you. I hope it's demystified for you a little bit about sewing with knits, because you can see it's not so hard. It's really not. And so I would say, as always, the Hot Pattern sewing motto is feel the fear and do it anyway. Just try it. You're bound to like it.